Brian Noble, what's your assessment as Bradford are beaten in the closing moments to Barrow this afternoon?
Really disappointed with our first half. Didn't think we were at the races. You can blame a lot of distractions for that, but in reality we weren't. The same old story when we're not going too well. I thought the energy in the second half was a whole lot better. I thought we got ourselves into a winning position and then weren't resilient enough clearly on the line there to stop Bullock getting over at the middle. So clearly disappointed, as the players are. We can't keep playing this way and doing it to ourselves. I think it's we need a little bit more respect for the game and a little bit more respect for how we need to play to win games.
Is that what makes this a bit of pill to stomach, so to speak? The fact that you worked hard in that second half to get in that winning position, Brian?
And you have to work hard here. Like in big games, and I consider this a big game, they're a top 6 team. We have to be good. I just didn't think we were good in the first half. I thought our effort levels in the second half were super. And we got to the right parts of the field and showed what we're capable of when that happens. And then a couple of silly mistakes towards the back end gives them a little bit of field position. And the bottom line is Bullock was too strong on that play. And they come away with a win that I thought we'd clawed out. So they are tough to take because of the last minute. But there's some underlying reasons for that. I think we know the reasons. I think the players will need to come up with some answers. You know, we've got 10 games left in this competition and we need to be a whole lot better than what we dished up today.
You've just mentioned underlying reasons, Brian. What are those underlying reasons?
Well, that's between me and the players. I think it's important that individuals look at themselves. The effort levels across the group are good. So they're not a bad group, they're a really good group. I think time and time again we've pointed out to certain individuals at different times, and sometimes it's different individuals, that when you do a certain thing at a certain time it just lets the opposition off the hook. And we're guilty of that at the moment. It's a pivotal moment in our season, I think, today, because I think to come out the right side of the result today would have given us a lot of energy running into the back end of the season. This should give us a lot of anger running into the back end of the season. I'm disappointed and the players are clearly disappointed, but we'll keep being disappointed unless we do something about it. That's to talk between ourselves tomorrow and understand we got no wriggle room anymore.
How much of an Achilles heel, Brian, is that sort of lack of game management in crucial moments, that perception, that inability to close down games?
It's clearly an element because it's happened twice now, hasn't it, in the last few weeks. So we need to be a bit more prescriptive. The coaches, we give a lot of responsibility to the players. I think for a while now, I think a bit of prescription will do us the world of good. I think those that didn't know how tough it was going to be today certainly did by the end of the game. And I feel for the players in the fact that there was a lot of effort out there. A lot of our players didn't deserve to be on the losing team. But the reason we're on a losing team, and we'll see the reasons, is momentary lapses of concentration, and that's what's killing us. And
when you look at Joe Bullock's try with 3 minutes to go, Brian, it comes off the back of some self-inflicted pod ill-discipline, 2 set restarts conceded, which effectively piggybacked Barrow up the field.
You got it. Yeah, I'm with you.
What can you do? Is there a mental sort of preparation, a mental focus?
On the day, other than an invisible cattle prodder, I don't know what we can do. Perhaps I should invest in them. I'll speak to NASA, see if they've got something that can sharpen our players up in the urgency of what we were doing. We stopped moving as well, and it's something we need to address. If we want to be as successful as we need to be this year, it needs addressing now, and it will be addressed this week.
You praise the defence against Batley, just the 1 try conceded, 4 conceded today, Brian.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
When you look at the tries conceded, taking Joe Bullock's out of the equation, 2 of Barrow's scores have come from kick errors. Those defensive shortcomings, they're hurting the team.
Astute man, Michael. They are hurting the team, and I'm well aware that they're hurting the team. we don't have a lot of wriggle room in relation to personnel, so we have to make sure personnel have got it. It's a tough one to take today because I thought, we did well in the second half. Our energy levels were better, our directness was better. Sometimes we get obsessed with playing certain ways and doing certain things, which is okay against teams that are not going to stay in there. This team stay in the fight. This team stay in the game, irrespective of the circumstances. And in the end, they got us. But I thought in the second half we were the better team for sure.
There were a period, Brian, in that second half where Michael Lawrence and Luke Cooley have just come on, and it almost felt like it took 5 minutes for everything to sort of sink into place, which then resulted in those 3 tries. But prior to that, Brian, I don't know if this is something that you've planned for, but it was very difficult to say who was at 9, who was in the halves, with almost everybody sharing that responsibility. And to my eyes, it looked like a mixed mash of, It
was a little bit more than mishmash. We caught for a couple of injuries as well. Armitage getting injured didn't help us. So we had to put Luke Cooley out on the wing. The changes were quite clear. Jordan was supposed to go to 9, Hooley to full back, Tom Holmes into the half. And once they got that message out there, the interjection of Sam Alice towards the back end as well at 9 was because of the injury to Guy Armitage. So it was a bit more organised than perhaps it looked like, but there's no doubt that did that cause the disruption at the end. I don't think so.
On Guy Armitage, Brian, it looked like it was an ankle or a strain. What's Guy done?
Not sure. I think it's a lower limb injury of some description. We'll take stock tomorrow.
There was an incident in the second half where Luke Cooley catches the ball and Conrad Harrell kicks into the in-goal area. He's taken out. The referee esteemed it as a penalty. Do you felt that potentially it could have been?
It was a professional foul, wasn't it? It was a sin bin, but I'm not. We had plenty of ball in the second half, enough to do it. We did enough damage to ourselves in the first half, and a little bit towards the back end we weren't resilient enough when we needed to be resilient. Absolutely, I see that one differently. It's a professional foul, but hey ho, the decision go for you and go against you sometimes.
You've just mentioned, Brian, the players that they're honest. They're an honest group.
Yeah.
How important is that sort of player accountability now moving into those last 10 games of the season, knowing that, the same mistakes can't keep being repeated, that there has to be an improvement?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. But it comes from the players as well, the answers, and probably left them with that. So review tomorrow will be a nice affair. But I'm asking for some answers from them, because clearly what myself and Greeny are giving them is either not listening to or they're not responding to. And again, I think it goes back to understanding that to win most of the games in rugby league, you have to be a whole lot better than we were with the ball.
Just a final one from me. Kieran Gill, Bailey Lou have gone to Batley.
I have, yeah.
Is that for 2 weeks, Brian? With obviously the injury to Guy, you couldn't pick up the phone and say to John Keir tomorrow, look, we're going to need Kieran Gill back because we've lost Guy Armitage?
They've no game next week, so I'm hoping that's the case. It's a minimum, but with injuries and things, I'm sure I can make a strong case with him not having a loan period to get him back. Yeah.
And it is another short turnaround, a chance to rectify some of the wrong.
I don't think that is that satisfactory to the feeling we have after today. We had a similar feeling against York at home when I thought we were the better team as well. We're just copping for a few that we need to understand now to get ourselves in a better situation. The first half today was ordinary.
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned that there. Obviously, you made that bright start the first half with Jayden's try. Could you pinpoint what fell off from there? Because it was the perfect start. Come to Barrow, tough play, score early, and then until about 55 minutes, it was Barrow's game.
Yeah, something fell off, didn't it? I think we did start well, and there's a lesson in how we started. I think we completed our first 3 sets, and the opposition couldn't handle us. And I think every time we do that, 3 and 4, I think we went through a period of 8 sets in the second half before we got on top. But when we got on top, the floodgates kind of semi-opened, didn't they? We scored 3 scores, and then we went back to doing some things that we do. So it's important we do learn the lessons. It's a great question you ask. It has to come from us. We're a good team. I think we're one of the top teams in this competition. But we've lost 4 points now in the competition that we should have come away with.
What do you feel that down to, Brian? Like you said, you got that momentum, the floodgates kind of opened, you got that lead, and it felt as only one winner went over. In that last 10, do you think the players were complacent? Did they just stop doing the basics right? Where do you think it went wrong at the end? Because it felt like it was your game.
Well, direction's important in the game of rugby league, and so we've got to look at the direction from myself and Greeny. We've got to look at the direction from who's making the decisions on the field. There's a lot of good noises being made. I don't know if they're constant enough. We're not panicking here. We have a small problem that needs ironing out now. Try saying that now.
Yeah.
Because with 10 games to go, we won't get many more opportunities to fix those kind of ends to games.
Guy's been such an important player of late. Obviously, you can lose players at any time. What just did you lose? That he's such a presence out there. How much did you lose? Obviously, it was an unexpectedly uncertain partnership a little bit between Luke and Conrad, but you'd expect that. What did you lose when Guy went off? How difficult was that to cope?
The element of stability.
Yeah.
The element of understanding that when you kick to the flanks, when Guy's there and when Jayden's on the other side, there's an opportunity for us to compete for a kick. I think Luke was having a big influence in the middle at fullback, and we had to stick him out on the wing because of his versatility. And I think we lost something there where I thought playing at the middle really, really helped us. We went away from playing at the middle because of our changes. So yeah, it's a tough one. We don't like to lose our better players.
Logan obviously went off too. He's been such an influence since he came back from that loan at Batley. It really benefited him. How is he, and what are you thinking for Logan going ahead?
No idea till tomorrow. I think he's walking around, so I'm not sure it's that bad. I'm hoping it's not that bad because he's been one of our pluses. We're disappointed today, but we didn't die, and we've got 10 games to ramp up into the end of this season. We've just thrown away our wriggle room.
There was that disruption, that shuffling, but largely in the second half the players coped well with that. Even when Logan and Guy went off, you were scoring tries. Is that a little nugget you can kind of take hold of going forward? That spell where
right at the very death we weren't resilient enough.
Yeah.
We played well in the second half. We were better than Barrow, but at the end of the day we gave a couple of 6 agains towards the back end of the game, which invited Barrow into the half, and we couldn't defend our strike. That's the bottom line, and they'll see the pictures tomorrow, and we need some strategies for that because we've talked about that before.
Just one final wider point, Brian. I know it's been a change in approach. Often it's only been the young lads going out on loan, but it has been, if you're not playing, I want you to have game time.
Yeah.
How key is that to you? The players like Gilly, who are first team players, are you ensuring they're still playing every week when they're not in your 17?
Well, particularly Gilly and Bailey, who want to play.
Yeah.
So they want to play rugby, so that's very, very important, and the higher standard of rugby we can get them, that's important too. But it's a risk, you know. Initially it's a 2-week loan. The fact that Batley don't have a game next week, we'll be asking for them back. Whether we can play them or not is another thing. We'll have to look at the rules there. But it's important we give everybody the game time and they don't sulk around on the sidelines. They want to play rugby and be ready for when they call back into our team.
Okay, so